All right, we're back. It is 4:22, and we camera this one. We tape this one, watch at 7 o'clock. Try to get a little more visual. They've made it easier for you to delete people on Facebook that have dead accounts. Just a little tip from Dale. I'm also concerned I've run into some plagiarism. I'm way into time travel books and movies. There's not enough movies about it. But you remember I told you I was reading that one, A Gift of Time? So that was a good one. I didn't like the ending, but I was like, okay, well, then I'll get another one. And I just looked on the one that had the highest review on Audible. And this one's called The Curious Case of Something Something. Of this, I can't remember what it's called. I can tell you right now what it's called. And I have a question for you about this. I'm going somewhere with this. This one is called, come on, Audible, load. It's called The Unusual Second Life of Thomas Weaver, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the first one I listened to, the guy goes back in time. He's 80 years old. A kind of alien creature takes him back, and she leaves him, grants him a wish, and the one wish is he wants to go back and try to prevent his brother's death.
So this is an alien genie?
Don't worry about her.
Okay. All right. I just asking.
It's a whole
okay.
Interstellar.
I didn't know aliens could grant wishes.
Do you know I've laid in bed this week at night, aside from worrying, you know what I've done? I've been going through movies in my head that are considered science fiction that you might label horror, so we can have that argument again. But let's not do it now. It's just the way the show works.
Gotcha.
Okay, so don't worry about how he gets there. But he goes back in time, and he tries to stop his big brother's death and take out a serial pervert.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. All right.
Now, this new book, the guy in a different way, he kills himself, and he wakes up as a junior high school kid, close, Jacob's age, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he tries to stop his brother's death.
As a kid
again, and stop a serial killer.
Huh.
Both of them.
And
here's the other
seems
thing.
like an overachiever to me.
Every time I've ever thought about writing a time travel book, it always involves, no, I'm going to look and see which one was written first, and then I'm going to, figure out who's plagiarizing here. Or do you think it's a quinky-dink?
I think that what happens is...
There's only so many plots in the world.
Yeah, not everybody's that creative, and there's a lot of...
Amanda told me there's one that...
Steal like an artist.
Yeah, there was that time you wrote Monsters, Inc., right?
I did not write Monsters, Inc.
Just the way he described it to me.
The live action Monsters,
I didn't write
Inc.
it,
is what he
first
wrote.
of all, because if you come into this room...
the live action
If you come into this
Monsters,
room
Inc.
with a car, an idea...
just getting them back for the Corvette.
A nice thought, a gift...
Any malady,
it will be crushed in this room. It will be absolutely destroyed. I came up with a concept for a series or a one-off movie for HBO.
Yeah. The only problem with it is that the concept had already been come up with and then produced
The concept
and distributed.
No. What was it called?
it was
you had named it?
The live action.
Monsters and Co.
It was not Monsters. God, what was that called? I wrote like a one-pager on that. God, I'm such a failure. What was it?
When you told it to me, parts of it felt familiar.
Because of the stage setting.
When you had a guy with one eye in the middle of his head.
No, it was the stage setting on where these... Look, it was like if it was a play.
Yeah.
Right.
These people were in their beds.
Monsters, Inc.
And what's Billy Crystal?
Were they dead or are they sleeping?
What, in Monsters, Inc. or in your movie?
Yeah, they were... No, they were... Can't remember. But they were all... There was an ingenue. There was a cowboy. There was a sports star. There was something
Taylor,
else. Wow, I don't even remember the idea.
Was it the
like
Tinker?
Village People?
No, and they had to sit at a table and figure, that's horrible. I got to find it. And they had to figure something out. Mm-hmm. And everyone I told it to outside this room said, that's a pretty good idea, dude. You ought to keep going with that. I came in this room and Bob says, that's Monsters, Inc. Because I'd had it where if you did a stage play, they were in their beds, but the beds were up.
Facing the closet.
They were vertical.
Robert Rodrigez, if you're listening.
See, don't be a dick.
Yeah, Chewy, you ain't going too far.
He just tried to help you
I
sell
want to
it.
see your dreams come into fruition.
But now I'm going to be in my head this entire segment about what the deal was. They had to figure that they had they're at a table.
And they have to figure something out.
Yeah, they were. They were. God, were they dead or were they?
How did they get the monsters?
It wasn't Monsters Inc.
I told you about the movie I started writing.
The
That
Monsters Inc. They went through a door. These were beds.
These were escalators.
But it's bugging me because it really wasn't a bad idea.
I was working with a guy who was helping me. I wanted to write a screenplay, sort of. And he said, look, man, I'm going to be honest, because he's a guy who's sold a lot of stuff in L.A. And he said, look, you know, one of the things that can kind of weigh you down is you want to try to make this great, awesome movie. People want to make these awesome movies.
Nobody
and
wants
you get really weighed down, and nobody wants them. He said, you know, one of the great things you can do is if you think of movies and scripts as products, you're just making a product. It doesn't have to be your life's work, right? So I was like, okay. And he's like, you know, he said also, if it's the thing you dream about, you panic so much about the things that you're writing that you can't just open up and write.
Get locked. Yeah.
So I was looking for something like also if you can have somebody attached, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
a
sure.
star, it's so much easier to get it sold if
Sure.
somebody's attached. So I was looking at up and coming stars. And so I did my research and I was like, here is an idea. And I came up with what I thought it was gonna sell for sure. I wrote a concept, put it together, and wrote the treatment and everything. And I pitched it to the guy, and he said, "That's excellent. I see where you're going," because I was trying to find comedians who weren't yet big, who had some gravitas, but weren't Hollywood celebs yet. So I was looking at like TV guys who might want to break into movies. And then when he said, "You look, dude, I think this is workable," I started writing the script for a Kevin James movie where Kevin James was a mall cop. And I was like, dude, I'm going to sell this. This is a really good idea. And literally was writing one night on my keyboard there when I looked up and saw the ad for Paul Blart Mall Cop starring Kevin James. And I was like, wow. I was right on when I thought that this might sell.
Just 6 months too late.
Wait a minute.
probably 3
Are
years.
you being real?
Well, 100%.
I had one of those
And it
too.
was Kevin James?
What do you mean it was Kevin?
You in your head had cast Kevin James.
I thought Kevin James is probably the next guy
he was
to
TV.
break
He
out
hadn't
of
done the
TV
movies yet.
Hasn't done a movie yet. And then what is something I don't care about? And I was like, I want to make a dumb slapstick comedy about, and I don't really care about him as an actor. So I was writing a thing about him being a mall cop. On a segue.
I used to try to write skits, like SNL skits and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I wrote one because I thought it'd be funny to like
You still have
perform
it?
or write it. I don't remember what it's in, but like 4 years later, when Daniel Craig was going to be James Bond and he was on there, it was the exact same skit.
If you have it somewhere, you should bring it in. We'll perform it.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
really-
remember
never-
now. Mine
I
was
had
called.
just-
It was called Dream Theater. And they were all
already a band.
of different walks of life or stardom, and they had to create the that's what it was.
Go ahead.
Person, just one person was in a bed.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And the bed, if it was a stage play, which would be very hard to do, the person's lying in their bed, but it's vertical,
Well,
right?
we can do that. They've
And
got
it would
special
pop up
effects.
and give a
Both
bio,
Velcro.
and all of these people had to sit around a table and come up with a dream
Right.
for this person and what they were going through.
Okay.
Dream Theater.
Okay.
Monsters Inc.
That's Inception.
Yeah, that's what it was. I'm glad I remembered that. You're right, though. So I did a table reading for the Awesome Film Festival with Stephen Root, and it might have been the kid from Friday Night Lights who's so good now. But Lyle Lovett was there. It was Lyle Lovett and Stephen Root, and we're reading this script. It was the funniest thing I've ever read. The writer was there. He was this young kid, and I go, "Oh my God, this is so cool! I'm getting to read on stage with Stephen Root for this movie that's going to be a smash hit." And it was called Who's Down with OCD. And it was about an NBA player who grew up with a white family, but he faked it. And whenever anybody came over, he would hit a button and all the white people paintings would be covered up with black art. But he had OCD, and like if he ran over a crack or something, whatever, in his SUV, he had to get out and walk around the vehicle 2 or 3 times. And it was the funniest thing I've ever read. Nothing. Never heard another
Was
thing.
Lyle Lovett playing the NBA star?
No.
Yeah,
I may have been putting
Well,
two
what's
readings
funny is
together.
I wrote, I didn't get very far on the script whatsoever, but I was just like, but instead of saying to myself, wow, maybe I have a talent for coming up with ideas that maybe you could sell, I was like, nah, my ideas are dumb. Somebody comes up with
It's
them before
hard.
me, and
It's
I just
hard.
quit ever doing that.
I'm listening to this book today, and I realized, because I've been thinking, why haven't I written anything in 5 years? And I got into that format of writing 1,000 words, 1,000 to 1,500 words, and getting a story in, the whole story.
Right.
And when you listen to a book or even read I always call it thinking in 3D, where there was one part today where he said, I opened the notebook and slowly pulled the clip. You get it. They get into this micro detail of writing, and I don't have a lot you experience.
That's not always the screenwriter's job, though. That's a lot of times that's the director's job to make.
No, that's what you can do a treatment. You can do a treatment the way I write,
right?
But to write it all out, there's two different things. If you're writing a book, you got to go into deep detail, and when you're doing a movie, you've got to know how to block it out and what people are doing in between the dialogue. Hey, welcome to the film podcast. We appreciate everybody joining us. It wasn't planned. Let's do Small Town-tober.
Okay.
All right, Small Town-tober. Oh, why?
And now it's time for Small Town-tober on the Dudley and Bob with Matt Morning Show on KLBJ.
Every October, I try to put together and have our show preppers put together small markets. They still don't get it. Some of them don't get it. Small markets with small TV stations, and to see how laid back their news stories are. And we had some killers. We've had some killers this week. It's tough. Okay, so which one of those appeals to you guys? You know what? I don't care. We're going to hear. I haven't seen this one yet. Abilene has hose trouble. They have a problem in Abilene. I'll just let them tell you here about what's going on at
There's hose in this house.
KTXS in Abilene, Texas. Right there on
Department
right there.
having issues recently with people driving over fire hoses, causing problems while they're trying to put out fires.
Should we alert KXN?
This is Christian Girl Autumn. Remember we talked about yesterday?
She
Christian
dressed like
Girl
a
Autumn?
pilgrim.
She's got Christian Girl Autumn going on, hardcore.
Do we need to alert KXN for talent on the future?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too. Olivia Devante.
Recently with people driving over fire hoses, causing problems while they're trying to put out fires. RK Texas reporter Courtney Brown tells us just how dangerous this can be for firefighters, and it can cost you a fine.
These hoses right here are a 5-inch hose, and they're basically the supply line for the firefighters.
Elise Roberts with the Abilene Fire Department.
Okay, here's my question. I've never driven over a fire hose near a working fire truck. Is this an issue that happens a lot?
I don't know.
Apparently it's happening in Abilene.
Fire guys, does this happen? In general, when you see blue
don't
and
they
red,
block off the street?
When you see blue and red lights, you stay away from them in general, right?
I didn't know the streets were open in a fire scene.
They have a lot more fires in Abilene because it is so hot around there. The
Department
economy,
says recently
everything.
they have had problems with people driving over fire hoses.
Okay, that was staged
They
right there.
reenacted
God, that was ridiculous.
They just
showed
they
a
just
fireman
staged a
like waving his
fireman.
arms like a crazy person.
You can see this at 7 tonight. That's not a real. That's not. Oh, that's the fire department's little practice hut right there.
Right.
Well, that is not real. That is not realistic reporting.
Department says recently they have had problems with people driving over fire hoses when crews are putting out fires.
Had a lot of fires in apartment complexes lately, and so there's a lot of people in a small area, and they're trying to
I'm looking for boogers. That's a bad angle to be doing that from.
get out of these complexes.
She says when people drive over fire hoses, it can cut off the water supply, damage the fire engine, and put firefighters in danger.
I mean, if you think about it, you could have firefighters in a building with fire all around them, and they're putting the fire out with water, and then all of a sudden their water supply gets cut off.
Okay, listen, I support any first responders.
I can see how it happens like that. If you're having that kind of fire right there with all those hoses and someone decides, I'm just going to drive through there. Can we be honest?
Let's say it's a big city like Austin, and this has happened multiple times, but
What's burning?
Abilene, is this news?
They're asking people not to drive over fire hoses. Why are you fighting with Abilene?
It's a PSA.
This isn't news. This is not.
it is.
No, it's not.
What else are you going to talk about in Abilene?
If you ran over a hose in Abilene and it cut off the water for the fire, and somebody got hurt, that's a news story. This is a public service announcement.
Roberts adds when the department must replace a damaged hose, it can get expensive and ultimately it'll cost tax.
All right, I'm starting a GoFundMe. It's called Hoses for Abilene. I'll have it up during the break.
Can't they use that flex tape?
Yeah.
Huh?
What else do you cover in Abilene? Another girl got finger blasted over there at Abilene Christian College.
My brother had a traumatic event happen when he was in Abilene. 2 traumatic events happened when he was in Abilene in the Air Force. Number 1, he got busted for speed. That turned out to be no-dos because he claimed to be guarding B-52s, and then he came home early one day, and his very, very, very obese wife, I never understood it, was with 2 other dudes. God, rest in peace, brother. Rest in peace. He lived quite a life. His first wife.
Boy, she was a hungry
And
hippo.
you know what her name was? Susan. So it was Susan Dudley.
So was your brother married twice?
Oh, I'm sorry. No. That was my sister, who's yeah, he's married twice, and we were not happy when he came home with the first wife. I don't know why. Not because of her weight.
It's also
Come on, be honest.
It was her weight.
Come on, dude. Yeah, let's be
well,
honest.
I'm 15 years old, looking at Hustler and Playboy and legs. I had a gigantic collection, and it just didn't suit what I thought my brothers should.
Yeah, but when you were younger, were you ever into like the idea of group sex?
No, I was just in the idea.
Maybe he just
illegal.
He wanted all of them in one.
We're done with this one.
But here's
right?
the problem. Abilene Fire Department asking people not to drive over fire. Why aren't they telling people?
Fining them.
Not to drive over the fire hoses.
It's the new America. We are all afraid.
Just like, hey, it'd be
Nobody
cool,
wants to
like,
get canceled. Say,
yeah.
hey, if you guys don't mind,
I don't want to get in your,
please.
I don't want to get in your space, but.
All right. Which one of those do you want to hear?
Mason jar shortage looks good.
Mason jar shortage.
Fire at the beet plant
Emu
looks
on
good.
the loose looks really solid.
Which one?
Emu on the loose. That's not
Bob posted that one. I didn't see it. That's out of Boston.
Oh, that's not.
It's Boston, but it's in a suburb.
I'll watch Fort Stockton Dad Matt also.
Yeah, it's not that good.
Okay.
Dad's kid got hurt at school, and they didn't call him. He also is Hispanic.
Oh, well, this is in Wapeton? Wapeton?
Yeah. This is a fire at the beet plant, everybody. And again, KXAN, you might want to take a look at KVLY in what state is that? In North Dakota.
When's the last time y'all ate a beet?
Breaking news. Firefighters were called to the Mindak farm.
I love pickled beets.
I used to eat them when I was a kid.
When's the last time you ate it?
It's been a year or two, I guess. Has had a pickled beet? They're real carby, so I don't.
They don't serve them at restaurants too often.
Yeah, but I don't remember ever eating a. Yeah, we've had a casserole that had beets in it,
salad,
but I'm more of a.
I don't know.
Janet Jackson was a huge fan.
Yeah, I don't know what I can do anymore on the hair. I was gonna say.
You're not gonna top the Janet Jackson.
Yeah, Janet Jackson was pretty.
I don't get the joke.
I get it if it was Michael
Chewy.
Jackson.
Go ahead.
There's a Janet Jackson lyric.
What? Beat it?
No, that's Michael Jackson.
Well, that's what I thought.
Okay, well let's hear
Rhythm Nation.
Let's hear
right at the beginning of the video. Just give me a beat.
Okay, somebody laughed in the back, and I didn't find that one that funny. I just heard somebody laugh out loud. Is that Dylan?
You had to be there.
Okay.
God, that's a lot of turquoise. What's going on here?
Farmers Cooperative beet plant in the Southern Valley right around 5:30 this morning. We check in live this morning with the Valley.
You'd be perfectly fine with that turquoise.
I don't know.
Yes, you would.
That seems like I'm going to be every weekend. I'm going to be in Santa Fe.
You always like that tall, skinny blonde.
Yeah, I did.
Yep.
Today's Callie Hubbard for an update. Good morning, Callie.
Good morning, Lisa. Yeah, early morning for crews here in Wapeton. They were called out here at 5:24 this morning. I'm right in front of the Mindak Farmers Cooperative. Here, that address is 7525 Red River Road. I'm going to
Great. She just gave the address. Now people are going to drive out there and drive over the hoses. And the beet plant's
disturb the crime scene.
The beet plant's going to burn down.
Is this another story where she's going to turn the camera herself?
I think a lot of these.
Step out of the shot here and give you a closer look. This is the closest I was able to get all morning. Crews just left.
Do you think the station reimburses them for the tripod at all?
I don't. I think that one of the hardest places to make a living anymore
is a reporter.
TV. Any kind of reporting or television journalism.
Media in general do not major in.
I think once you get to maybe once you become an anchor, you can make some dough. But I think everything else is just you rolling dice, hoping to become an anchor. Otherwise, I think it's like stand-up comedy.
And then you're getting paid for the fake news. That's what it is.
Do we have a show today?
On scene here. Now, what they say is that they got reports that there was a fire in the boiler area, and due to high elevation, firefighters were having a hard time getting to it. Now, Andy Greger, he's the fire chief with Dwight Fire, and he told me that the cost of damages right now is unknown. No one from his department or crews.
We can't get close to it. I don't know where it was. Nobody can answer any questions. Now back to you.
You still got that Red Bull?
She's got nothing.
They're trying to track down the price of beets right now.
Oh my God.
But as far as Mindak workers, we're not sure if anyone was hurt at this time. It
doesn't look like anything's happening.
No one there.
There's no smoke. There's nothing.
No cars. There's nothing moving.
What would it be like to go to a market this small? I'll never go backwards. I just can't imagine. But you know what? Maybe it'd be peaceful and you'd be calm.
You retire.
No pressure.
Do you remember the guy that did radio on Northern Exposure? He seemed like he had a bit of a dream job,
there was
didn't he?
a famous radio guy out of Cleveland 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Somebody convinced him to do the show from his house, and it was politics in the afternoon, right in the middle of all this stuff we got going on. And in the middle of a broadcast, he goes, guys, I'm just sitting here in Colorado and looking out my window, big voice guy, and I'm seeing the birds, and I'm just seeing all the trees and stuff. And I've never really cared about sports or politics, and I just want to let you guys know I'm done. Thank you very much. And turns his mic off. And that was it. He was like this legend. He wasn't rude. He didn't insult.
Yeah.
He didn't insult the people that employed him. He just, on the air, he just said, I don't really need to do this anymore. What a dream come true for that guy. But I guess, I don't know, North Dakota.
I like flowers and flowers and birds.
I wanted to dance.
I should look that up.
I'm reaching out to the contact person for the company to see if anyone was hurt there. But as you can see, no more crews are on scene. The boilers are still able to run this morning.
This poor little girl, everyone's gone home. It was a non-incident. Maybe they've had to shut down for the day, and she's just standing out there. She can't get any information about the beet plant.
And she's a half mile away.
Yeah, and it turns out that it was just somebody smoking a cigarette on their break.
And it's in Wahpeton.
No one was hurt. The cause of the fire is unknown at this time, but I'm going to stick around here and reach out again to...
She's going to stick around.
No word on how this will affect the beet market.
I'm going to stay here till we see...
Till something happens.
Some sign of life.
The Dwight Fire Department to bring you the very latest.
She's back. This is so sad.
I know.
It's so sad. They don't have camera people anymore, so she literally jumps in and out of the frame.
We saw this yesterday.
We're now reporting live in Wahpeton. Callie Hubbard, Valley News Live.
Thank you, Callie. And of course, you can stay informed on this breaking story throughout the day.
Yeah.
Eugene, it's been 4 hours. Check in on that fire.
If anyone is informed, will they please call the reporter and let her know what's going on?
You can keep
They sent her out there at 5 o'clock in the morning, and there's nothing to be told.
There's no smoke, but you can check back in and see how the fire's going. God, this is perfect, Small Town Tober.
By using your VNL News app.
Use your app on your phone. What are you doing? Are you on Facebook again?
I'm refreshing. I'm refreshing.
I'm checking on the beat fire.
I can't refresh fast enough. Okay.
By the way, why has that girl got so much turquoise on?
That's the big story.
It bothers Bob's aesthetics.
That is the big story.
You've got Airco. Thank you, everybody.
I do.
Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.
See you on the cameras. And you can see us being stupid at 7 o'clock tonight on the camera. Thank you to Dylan.